Hello. Well, not so much fun this time, I'm afraid. I just want to remind everyone that in a couple of days, Tommy Robinson will be back in court and possibly in jail. And many have noted that this happens to be just a few days after the man we all love to hate. Hang on a minute, where's the man we all love to hate? Anjem Chowdary has been released. I'm trying to call up the page here. Let's see, start recording. Let's see what we've got. All right. It has also been unironically noted that Mr. Chowdary is going to get protection while at large in Britain, just in case some outraged citizen decides that the world would be a better place without this particular member of the Chowdary family. Please don't take that in any way as my sanction on such action. I disagree with it wholeheartedly. There has been much in the media about the two, including this in The Independent, written by Lizzie Dearden, which, to my surprise, shows just a tiny bit of self-awareness, although possibly the wrong conclusion. First of all, she does say that it's entirely likely that the English Defence League owes its existence to Chowdary's anti-British demonstrations as soldiers came home from Afghanistan. But note how Miss Dearden uses the word, let's get rid of this, uses the word far right in connection with Robinson's name. You see, I think that's the law nowadays. You can't say Tommy Robinson without saying far right. And the English Defence League would not have been founded if not for Chowdary's incendiary protests, a former member says. Now, let's have a look at this. They mention that he radicalised people far beyond his circle of fanatical Islamists, and he became the leader of al-muhajiroun, which was banned by the government for its extremist activities. Now, what really interests me about this is that she is actually saying that, because up till fairly recently, none of this was acceptable conversation. So at least people are now starting to realise that there is a problem with Islamists. One of their many provocative demonstrations came when members called soldiers returning from Iraq terrorists during a homecoming parade and held signs saying, "Soldiers go to hell." The stunt received substantial media coverage and sparked national outrage. Well, actually, not that much. You didn't get that much in the mainstream papers like The Independent, which is why Tommy Robinson became necessary. If you had already jumped on that bandwagon, Tommy Robinson would have been just one voice out of many. Independent, Lizzie Dearden, and all the rest of you. Yaxley Lennon held a protest under the banner, "Ban the Luton Taliban," and so he should. And that's because you weren't doing your job. And I might say the police weren't doing their job either. And let's take a look at how the police are doing their job. Here's another article in the Daily Mail. Here you are. Let's have a look at this. The Daily Mail, there you are, the Mail Online. Forcing police to investigate non-crimes like wolf whistling because of Twitter's politically correct court takes away resources from real crimes, says Union Chief. Now, I'd like to add some context to this. It's the police. They're the ones who are posting this stuff on Twitter and then committing themselves to regarding wolf whistling. Wolf whistling, oh, if only, as a crime. A police federation chairman has warned that officers now have less time to investigate serious crime because of the politically correct court of Twitter. It's not the politically correct court of Twitter, it's you, it's the police. You're using Twitter, all right. But you aren't doing your job because you're talking about stuff like wolf whistling instead of talking about stuff like crime, like this guy saying soldiers go to hell when they've just come back from Afghanistan. Like behead all those who disrespect Islam. That's a call to murderous action, and it resulted in the killing of children. And you're involving yourself with wolf whistling and then blaming it on Twitter. No, that's like shouting for revolution through a microphone and then blaming it on the bloody microphone. Okay, back to this Independent article about Tommy Robinson. It says here, the pair fed off each other's extreme. Now you see, I've done the two highlights, one in yellow and one in blue, because here she's making sense. Here she is now running back to PC nonsense. They didn't feed off each other's extremism. Tommy Robinson reacted to the evil that this man was pumping out. That's not feeding off. That's standing up to. To mark Armistice Day in 2010, Chowdary supporters held signs near the Royal Albert Hall reading, "British soldiers burn in hell," before burning a model poppy. At that point, the police should have got off their Twitter-soaked arses and done something. This was a slap in the face of the British people. It was a slap in the face of our army, which protects us. And the police were busy with their PC nonsense, wearing high heels and painting their nails in apparent support of domestic violence victims. No, it wasn't. It was a PR stunt and did nothing. Women are still being bashed about by their partners and husbands. Wearing high heels doesn't do a thing for that. Right. The EDL held a series of demonstrations and mustered more than 1,000 supporters. I think it was more than that. Okay, Tommy Robinson, it says, but his preoccupation with Islam has remained. It's not a preoccupation with Islam. It's a preoccupation with the supremacist ambitions of Islam. And I want to tell you, I've studied Islam. I know all about this. It's a fascist ideology when you come to look at it. There are various branches of Islam that have ditched some of that. But mainstream Islam is fascist. There is no other word to describe it. How else would you describe philosophy that says we are better than everyone else and we have the right to rule everyone else and everyone else is inferior and has to pay us protection money? It's either fascism or the mafia. One or the other, take your pick. And then, after being jailed for supporting ISIS in 2000, they got him more or less on a technicality. The 51-year-old's former associates have fallen largely quiet after repeated crackdowns by the security service. Oh yeah, largely quiet. You mean like the Waterloo Bridge thing? Or the Manchester bombing thing? They all happened after he was put in jail. I wouldn't call that largely quiet, frankly. Several al-muhajiroun members have died fighting for ISIS, a bloody good riddance too, while activist Quram Butt was shot dead by police after carrying out the London Bridge terror attack. That was largely quiet, wasn't he? Now, she has to put this at the end. After almost a decade of feeding off each other's extremism, the pair's history appears far from finished. She says that they're feeding off each other. No, Chowdary is a very evil man. And I don't use the word evil lightly. I don't like calling human beings evil. But this man is an evil influence. I don't know what's in his mind, but what he's doing, how he's shaping other people, is murderous. But here we have at least the beginnings, the glimmerings of some sort of awareness of what's going on here. At least the British press is finally waking up. Here, the British press is finally waking up to the dangers of this man, who is now going to get, I don't know, if you people in America might be surprised to hear he is getting £2 million a year's worth of personal protection out of my taxes. And Tommy Robinson is going to court on Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. And this guy is walking around free. It's a national disgrace. It really is a national disgrace. I'm very grateful for financial contributions. But if you don't want to give money, you can still help a lot by sharing this and other videos I've made. Also, remember to check your subscription from time to time, as sometimes subscriptions get erased for one reason or another. Till next time.